So today we are cleaning the heads for rat trap. They are gunky. I don't know if you guys saw the last video, but I kind of introduced them. They're disgusting. But we're going to try and clean them as best we can today. Get all the gunk out of it and make sure this motor's healthy and happy. So I already started cleaning the other head over there, but this is the one that is untouched, and you can just see that it is caked. Absolutely caked in oil from not doing oil changes, not maintaining the motor. It's not very fun, not very aesthetically pleasing to look at either. So what we have over here is I have this soaking right now with this stuff called Breakup. Love it, use it at work, oven and grill cleaner. Not the strongest stuff we've ever had at work, but it is still very good. It's currently raining a little bit right now. I gotta go and wipe this down, but you can see that it's just making that gunk and stuff run off, which is wonderful. I honestly might just leave it in the rain. But we're going to focus on cleaning this today and getting it ready to actually do the valves, lap the valves, and get the heads ready to be mounted on the block. Prep the surfaces, do everything we need. I actually have some clips of me starting to clean that head down there. I'm going to put them in right now, just show the current state that it started at and what it's finishing in. If you want to watch more and see what it really truly started at, watch the last video that I posted on doing the timing chain, oil pan, and front cover on that motor, as well as the oil pump. But right now I have it soaking with that breakup stuff. I propped it up to really get some of the bad oily areas, and we're just letting it soak in, and I'll hit it with the hose. You can see that it's kind of flaking off, but this is really gunky and disgusting. You see how it just runs off, and it didn't even clear it where I'm rubbing my finger. You got to actually let it do its job and do multiple cycles of it, or it's not going to actually clean it, unfortunately. And this is just purely because of a lack of maintenance and not taking care of this motor, which is unfortunate. So I just washed it off, and you can see that it's still some gunk. I'm actually going to use a toothbrush and try and just break it up even further, which it's kind of funny, but if it works, is it really that stupid? I didn't want to use a wire brush because it's a little abrasive, and I don't have a brass brush. But I'm going to set you up on time lapse. I'm going to scrub this a little bit, and then we're going to clean it again. So, as you can see, obviously much better. I don't care about a little bit in there in the tighter to reach areas. I want, honestly, the big chunks out, because this it'll eventually clear up with me running the motor and consistently doing oil changes. This actually doesn't look terrible up here, so I think we're gonna move on from there. Flip this head over, actually, if we can maneuver it a little bit, and kind of focus our worries in here, because there is a lot of thick gunk still in there. So I'm gonna try and do the same method where I use the cleaner, scrub it with the toothbrush, and try and get this crap out of there. So it seems like it's working pretty well. So I was able to clean these up decently nicely, get them kind of worked out with the scrub brush. So I'm going to switch my attention over to the intake runners. Now this one looks damn good. I don't know if you can see in there. Looks great. This one, not so much. Same with this one, as well as this one. So I'm going to spray my trusty pots and pans remover in there and really lather it in. I'm going to let it soak for about 10-15 minutes, and then I am going to come back, scrub it a little bit, rinse it out, see what we get. So we're going to do that and see how it comes out. Alright, we're finally back. I let it sit for an extended period of time. Saw some more areas I wanted to clean up a little bit. I mean, there's obviously, I'm not going to get this perfectly clean. I don't have a hot tank to be able to bake all of this stuff off. But for now, I'm extremely happy with how everything turned out. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to dry this off, take it next door to my neighbor's house, use his air compressor, blow it out so it doesn't rust and start pitting and doing all that happy jazz. But there's obviously a clear difference between that and this, and I still have yet to start on the second one. I'm not excited about this at all. Okay, real quick, I moved this over because I decided to go and just buy a hose for the pressure washer. You can see how thick this is. So I'm gonna just set you up on a time lapse while I pressure wash this and pray to God that it cleans this enough, because this is disgusting. I'm back inside. It started to rain again. I tried as best I could to actually get that clean. But I'm gonna come back to you once that head is clean and we're just ready to go. There's no point making more and more cuts and edits for that when it's raining and I'm just gonna go stand in the rain. So I'll be back when we go to do the valve job. Fuck. And we're back. It is another day of me doing these heads. Unfortunately, it started to rain, plus it got extremely late, and I just got tired, quite frankly. So I am now on to doing the valve job. I got this second head decently clean. I see some spots that I'm going to go over off camera and just really make sure they're a-okay. But today we will be doing a valve job, and I will be resurfacing the head at home with the technique that I have learned from an older gentleman, but nonetheless a very wise individual. So I have the tool for it. You can pick these up on Amazon for like 20 bucks. It's just a valve removal tool. You do need one specifically for the generation of heads you are using. So for my instance, these are a Gen 3 head, which means I have a Gen 3 valve seat remover and valve tool. Works perfect for me, but if you go to use Gen 4 heads, there is a specific tool for that, and you will need to get it, because if not, the Gen 3 tool will actually contact a casting mark on the Gen 4 head, and you won't be able to do it properly. But I'm going to adjust this a little bit so you can actually see what I'm doing here. Bring that down. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just getting the tool set on the actual valve. I'm going to tighten it down. Nothing too crazy, but you want this to be tight because it will walk, and it will make your life a living hell if you go to actually put the valve seats back in once you're done with everything else. But at this portion of the video, we're going to be doing valves, valve springs, valve seats, lap the valves, everything you really need to know. So I'm using power tools just purely because I've done this before. It's not recommended you use power tools if it's your first time, but I've done this on multiple vehicles and I'm pretty comfortable with doing it. So you're going to tighten down your little 8mm bolts, which you use for the rockers, into the rocker bolt holes. You're going to tighten this nut till the valve compresses, correct? So if I flip this head up, which I have to because sometimes the valves get stuck, you'll see that the valves are open. I can slide like a piece of paper or a screwdriver behind the valve. You're going to basically have to tap it back. It's going to feel really weird, but you're going to tap it until it pops, and that's how you know that the valve retainers are actually okay to be pulled out. That's a little valve retainer. You got 2 of them per valve, so you should have, for 8 valves, 16 in total. Yeah, 16 in total. Sorry, I'm not a mathematician, but I gotta tighten this a little bit more. And you just basically want to use a small magnet, or you can compress the valve and the spring enough to actually get these out by hand. You just make a little pile with them. You can get upgraded ones, which are titanium. Very good stuff. Lightens up your drivetrain a whole lot, or your valve train a whole lot, which allows you to rev the car higher. But for this application, I don't think I'm going to need it. And once you got those out, all you're going to do is loosen this nut back up until all the tension is off of the spring, and then you're able to remove the tool and you just keep moving. You know, you just repeat the steps. So I'm just going to show you this first set of valves and springs just so you understand what you're doing, and then I'm going to time lapse it all. I finished the other head off camera, and I was going to do a grand reveal, but I have to surface this. So these are the, I don't even know what these are called, to be honest with you, but these sit on top of the valve. I'm reusing these because they don't go bad. The valves to me are dead. I don't care about them. But then after you do that, you can flip the head over, pop the valve out. It might give you a little resistance because you're fighting with the valve seal, which you should always replace them if you're doing any valve work. Very simple, little seal right there. Pop it out for you to see. Comes off nice and easy, super simple, just a pair of pliers. And then pop. And then you're ready to assemble. See, on my motor, because it's so gunky and gross, I got a lot of gunk under the seal that I gotta clean out with some brake clean and a paper towel, but it's not a huge deal. It's nice and easy. You know, I'm just doing it with a flathead screwdriver. Obviously, I've loosened it up at this point. Just spray this, get my big head out of the way. This doesn't need to be perfectly clean because it's not a perfect surface, but you know, the better clean it is, you know, it makes your life a little easier and allows you to have no oil seeping in through the valves. Now I need to just find, here we go. So this is what a new valve seal looks like. Basically like a thimble, if you've ever been around sewing or doing anything like that. You pop it on and it tries to go all the way in, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. So I just personally use a socket with something similar and something that's a hammer. Tap it down until she's nice and seated. You're good to go. Then you can reinsert your valves. But this is where you actually have to lap the valves, which again, I'm going to do something. Not everybody's going to like it. Everybody has their own methods. That's fine. This is personally what I like to do, and I've found that works for me. You put a little bit of compound right, I'm trying to get a good angle for you, sorry. Basically right on the lip of this valve, right around here. And I do 3 splotches evenly, somewhat evenly placed around the valve, so then I can spread it out. Because the more you spin this to actually set the valve and seat it and grind away any little imperfections, the more the grit changes. So just kind of pop it around, spin it a little bit. And personally, on this set of heads, I use a drill, which isn't always advised per se, but we're doing this the cheap way and an easy way, so we're doing it with the drill. And also, not to mention, my valves, for some ungodly reason, did not want to allow the tool to stick to the valve, which made my life miserable. So just connect it. I slowly spin it and apply pressure in towards the head with the drill. Swap directions a few times. And then I pop the drill off. Simple as that. Pop it out. I clean it off of any of the little crap that's in it. You know, again, paper towel, nice and simple, nice and easy. And you can see noticeably that we have cleaned up the seal for the valve. You can see how that's now clear. Let me show you the intake valve. Obviously, it's going to be different, but you see the difference in dirt and grime versus lapped. I may get hate in the comments for this, but it is what it is. This is how I was taught to do it. So clean that out. And then personally, what I do is I put the valve back in and spin it by hand a few more times, just to make sure any remaining little bit of compound is out of there or ground in, because it does grind away. But you know, I just want to make sure we're all clear. Yeah, we sound good right there. So then I call it a day there. Now, these valves are gross and very carbony, but I don't really care. So do the same thing. You just rinse and repeat for every single step of this process. It's kind of funny. It's a little, it's monotonous for sure, which means slow if you don't know, but it works, so I have no problems with it. And you know, once you get on a roll, you can just keep moving. So if you can see the valve spinning down there, and you don't want to go too crazy on it. I'm sure some people say to, you know, reapply and redo this, and you know, you want to do 3 or 4 passes with the lapping compound, and I don't care. Not on this motor. This is as junkyard as possible build as I can get. So I'm not too concerned about it. If you want to talk crap in the comments, feel free. I've done it this way on other motors that run and have no problems, have no leak down, no issues. So this is the way I do it. It is what it is. But okay, come on, pop in. There we go. And you want to make sure you have a drill that doesn't have teeth on the end of it, because it will mar up the actual valve, and I don't really want to replace valves in this. So, and there we go. One set is done. Now onto the springs. So we're just going to grab 2 new springs, our Beehive 212s, supplied courtesy of Texas Speed. We're going to pop tops on them, and then we're going to put the tool back on. And it's the same process that we started with, just in reverse. You know, tighten down the tool, make sure it's fully tight. Don't go crazy wrenching on it. You'll screw up the threads in the actual head for the rockers. Tighten it down, and then boom. We should be good to crank this puppy down, pop the retainers in, and there's your valve job. So tighten this down. Nothing too crazy. Sometimes these valves can be a little bit of a pain, I will not lie, because they don't want to perfectly align. So sometimes you just gotta kind of wiggle the spring over and do what you need to do to get the seat to go in. But like for instance right here, this wants to be a pain in my butt, so I'm gonna just tighten it a little bit more till that seat wants to pop right in nice and easy. So that popped in nice and easy. We're just gonna pry this over a little bit. Also, I'm using a snap-on pocket screwdriver. Super helpful when it comes to doing stuff like this, I will not lie. So one seat in, two seats in. Now we can undo that. And as long as the seats snap in, there's your valve job. And you just rinse and repeat on all the sets of valves. You're going to take an exhaust for both sides of the motor. Obviously this is a LS. It's going to be different for a 4-cylinder or anything else, a Coyote, but this is how I do it for this car. So I'm going to set you guys up on a time lapse, continue working, get through the rest of these valves, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you the finished product, and I'll get the station set up for resurfacing. That's even easier than you might think. And it's not really a resurface, it's more of a clean the heads and make sure any little imperfections are straight and flat, but we'll go from there when we get there. And that is how you do a valve job on one of these LS cylinder heads. Look how pretty it is. But now we're on to the controversial part of things, which some people are going to tell me I'm insane. I know it doesn't look like much, but what I was taught, what I was told will work to make sure that these are resurfaced is you take a sandpaper, a 320, a 360, or a 400 grit, put it on a piece of glass because you know it's flat, and then you're able to run the head over it in a figure 8 pattern, which should help clean up the head. Because if you see, it's very gunky, there's a bunch of crap on it, but you do that and then you use a copper head gasket spray and you're right as rain. You have no problems. So for your backyard little tech tip, this may work perfect for you. I don't know where the hell you can find a piece of glass, but so good luck with that. But for me, this is going to work perfectly for what I want to do. And this is the product I'm extremely happy with. It's not meant to completely resurface the head, but it definitely cleans it up a lot. There's, some pitting in there from God knows what. But the head is already so much better if you can't tell on camera. I'm excited to get this on the car with the copper head gasket spray. I don't think I'm going to have any issues with this, having head gasket failure or anything along those lines. I will be moving on to the second head. I'm probably not going to record that, but this is my little at-home trick. It definitely does start to rip up the sandpaper on the glass, so if you can get a full sheet, it works a lot better, but for making do with what I got, I'm extremely happy. So that's a wrap on today's video. I went to go and actually install the heads, and I was going to video that, but I forgot I didn't soak the lifters. So I will make a part 3 finishing that and wrapping that build up as far as the motor. And the lifters are soaking. You want to soak them for 24 hours. I'll get into that in the next video, but that should be coming out shortly. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope you learned something. I try my best to convey my knowledge, which is limited in the grand scheme of things, but I know a decent bit, to you guys and help out in any way possible. But thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe. Share the content. And as for that, have a great day. Peace.